Bleach is finally back, and episode 41 already feels like the anime is trying to fix the manga's rushed final stretch. Also, yeah, I know I've been gone for a good while, but Bleach returning for the final cour felt like the right time to come back to YT. So, instead of doing a normal review, I want to talk about what this episode actually changed, added, and why that matters. And honestly, episode 41, God of Thunder, was not just a normal comeback episode. This episode basically said, yeah, we know the manga ending was rushed, so let us cook. And that is exactly the kind of energy I wanted from this final cour. Because the biggest thing here is not even just Yoruichi's God of Thunder form or Urahara showing up. The biggest thing is that the anime is already adding new material, especially with Uryu versus Hoshwald. In the manga, this part existed, but it did not really feel like a huge fight that it should have been. Uryu and Hoshwald have been connected since the beginning of the Quincy side of the story in TYBW. Hoshwald was always suspicious of Uryu. Uryu was obviously hiding something, and both of them are tied to Yhwach in completely different ways. So, seeing the anime actually give them a proper fight was really nice. It made their confrontation feel less like a checkpoint in the story and more like an actual clash between two Quincy's with completely different loyalties. The episode starts with some crazy camera work, which is of course very TYBW like, and it showed us all fights going on in the war belt, from the Wizards to Yoruichi to Yhwach. The opening alone made the war feel much bigger than just one fight happening at a time. While the second half of the episode adapts chapters 662 and 663, focusing on Yoruichi's clash with Askin, as Urahara finally arrives onto the battlefield. The way that anime reworks and pads out this content is unlike anything that we have seen so far, and it perfectly sets the tone for what this final cour is going to be. With this being the final stretch of the Thousand-Year Blood War anime, we can expect Cour 4 to have a lot of brand new material, like more than half of it maybe, and episode 41 is already proof of that. Uryu activates his full standage, fires arrows everywhere, tries to test how much Hoshwald can actually see with the Almighty, and Hoshwald is just casually reading everything like he has seen the episode before us. And this is where the anime makes the fight way more interesting, because it is not just two guys throwing attacks anymore. Uryu is trying to understand the limit of the Almighty while Hoshwald is basically telling him, "You are just not built for this, I am Yhwach's other half." And the way he says it makes it feel personal, not just tactical. And then we get the biggest new lore drop of the episode. Hoshwald shows Uryu this giant distortion, and we finally get a clearer explanation of Yhwach's true plan. He's not just trying to win the war, he wants to destroy the three worlds and create a new world for the Quincy's. And I really like this addition because one of the biggest problems with the final part of Bleach's manga is that some ideas are cool, but they move so fast that you don't get enough time to process it and feel the weight of them. The anime slowing down here actually helps the story instead of hurting the pacing. Here, the anime actually lets the thread breathe. We even cut to the world of the living where the distortion starts appearing there too, and Ginta and Tessai notice it, and that instantly makes everything feel bigger. It is not just Soul Reapers fighting Quincy's in Warwelt anymore. The actual structure of the worlds is going to crack. That is the kind of anime original content I want. Also, oh my goodness, not to mention Uryu's glasses gotta be the strongest in the universe, because what is this? And in this episode, there's no random filler, no scenes that waste time, actual additions that make the story clearer and make the final battle feel more dangerous. And then of course the second half is basically Yoruichi versus Askin. And look, Askin is still one of the most annoying characters in the best way possible, I guess. Because this guy gets beaten up and still somehow makes you feel like the heroes are losing. He's unserious but also extremely dangerous, which is a weird combination. Yoruichi's God of Thunder form finally got animated, and visually, yeah, it was wild. Some shots were definitely interesting. You know what I mean? But overall, the speed, the lighting, the pressure, everything felt really cool. The animators really went off with this one. And then Urahara comes in, and that is where the episode starts setting up that a lot of Bleach fans have been waiting for years to see. Because Urahara is usually the guy who always has a plan, always has a backup plan, and always acts like everything is under control. But now, Askin activates his full standage and drops Gift Ball Deluxe, and it feels like Urahara is finally going to have to stop playing around at lock-in. So overall, I don't want to call this just an episode review because honestly, the most exciting part is what this episode means for the entire final core. If episode 41 is the standard, then core 4 might not just adapt the manga ending, it might actually improve it. The Uryu vs Haschwalth expansion was easily the most important part for me. Yoruichi's form was the hype moment, of course, and Urahara's setup was the tease. But the anime original material is what makes me excited for the rest of the season. Because if they're willing to expand this much in episode 1 itself, then imagine what they could do with the other fights and moments that actually needed more time in the manga. A side note that I felt kinda bad for Chad because this is probably his final major fight and he didn't really do much fighting the stern ridders or at least taking down one of them. And even here, Ganju helped him, which is quite sad to see for Chad. Also, the opening by Joji, Aibul, was really good. Suits the Bleach vibe and the English translated lyrics make a lot of sense if you look at them. The ending, Rasen or Spiral by 9 Lana, is also a good one to close off the series. Seems like a wholesome one while still giving a shonen conclusion vibe. It seems that the next episode is going to be about Urahara and Yoruichi versus Askin, as well as Ichigo and Orihime confronting Yhwach. So yeah, Bleach is back, Minx is back, and I'm thinking instead of doing normal weekly reviews, I'll do these quick anime versus manga files where I talk about what changed, what got added, and whether the anime improved the manga. So let me know, did you like the Uri vs Haschwalth anime original fight, or was Yoruichi's God of Thunder form your favorite part of the episode? Let me know in the comments, and I hope to be able to upload weekly from now on. Thank you so much for staying until the end, and thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.